Welcome to MYA Confidential. I am your host, Krystina Jones, and I am joined by
Chloe Beresford. I am the CEO here at MYA.
We are here to educate and explain about cosmetic surgery. We're going to dispel myths. We're going to change perceptions. We're here to reassure patients who are embarking on or within their journey with MYA. And we are going to have fun. We're going to be speaking to patients, speaking to listeners, allow them to become part of the MYA brand and community. This is a family-owned company. We're approachable.
And we want you to be part of the MYA family too.
And here we are, finally, MYA Confidential.
I'm so excited.
A long time in the pipeline, and it's finally here. So, two hosts that we have here today. I am Krystina Jones, and we also have Chloe Beresford with us today. We are your hosts for MYA Confidential. Little bit of insight into both of us first. So I have been here for 12 years now. I'm patient services director. Literally have started from the bottom, now we're here. Started
Exactly
as
that.
patient coordinator in our Bristol clinic. I've then been assistant manager, clinic manager, registered manager.
You've basically been everything.
I think I should become a surgeon next.
Maybe
it's the
not.
only thing left.
We'll just keep having surgery. We won't become a surgeon.
And yeah, here we are now. And Chloe, please tell me all about the company and what it is that you do for us as well.
So I am basically the CEO of MYA. I run MYA jointly with my sister, who is not here today, but we're joint CEOs of MYA. It's a family business and we've been going now 16 years. We run it alongside with John Ryan, who was basically, I think, the first person in the UK to ever create a cosmetic surgery provider.
Wow.
His first business he had was probably established about 40 years ago.
Don't tell the audience that. He's actually 21.
Yeah. So he's been
mind.
in the game a long time. He's the words of wisdom behind MYA. He's got all the knowledge and all the wonderful surgeon contacts that he's met along the way.
And the
so we're very lucky to be in business with John.
Yeah.
And we just enjoy, giving patients excellent surgery. We enjoy the fact that we are a leading UK provider and we're making sure that the job's done properly. We're making sure it's done safely, which I think is one of the most important things that I want to talk about on the podcast, because I think that people going into surgery sometimes naively with the wrong provider, they're not having what I call safe cosmetic surgery. They may be looking at price when they should actually be looking at other things
and everything that it entails. Because it's your body, isn't it? And the value that you then place upon your body to then think, oh, I can save a couple of grand by going abroad or doing XYZ. There's so many more risks associated
my goodness.
with that.
I mean, you can literally end up with a horrific infection, then you can become hospitalised when you get back to the UK. You shouldn't even be flying after having a procedure. Sometimes places in Turkey, they're letting people go within hours of surgery. They're going to a hotel, a couple of nights in a hotel, and then they're on a plane, which is really the most unsafe place to be after you've just been cut open. Yeah, you've possibly got drains in still. Your incisions are nowhere near healed. You're wide open to infection in a dirty environment like an aeroplane. And then you get home and you become very poorly and there's no aftercare.
There's no one there as like your first point of contact. No. And I think that's definitely what we wanted to do for our vision with this podcast, is dispelling those myths, explaining to patients how the company works and getting an insight into it all, because it's like a myth. It's a cloud, isn't it? You think about cosmetic surgery. Back in the day, it used to be celebrities, or it would cost like over £10,000 to have your operation.
It was like a Pamela Anderson kind of era, I think, of like, the blonde, big boobs, bombshell type thing. She was but she was.
Let me don my swimsuit.
But you're far more intelligent than the kind of stereotype that I'm thinking of, because there was that negativity associated,
100%.
especially with breast augmentation.
Stereotype, wasn't it?
That would basically come into people's mind when you'd say the words boob job.
And cosmetic surgery, you'd then think of the facelifts, the scary looking facelifts. And America,
the horrors,
again.
The horrors.
So and it isn't like that at all. And the thing that I loved most when I was being a patient coordinator, and I distinctly remember this, I was driving back from the clinic. So I was driving through the centre of Bristol.
Yeah.
And I actually saw one of my patients just walking down the street.
Yeah.
And you would never have looked at her and gone, oh, she's had her boobs done. Like, she was just a normally beautiful human with normal sized chest. And it was just because she'd started off with A cup, nothing there, and wanted to get a bigger breast for her confidence. And I just felt really proud. And I was like, oh, she just looks happy. She's just, casually walking down the street. And it was so lovely to be part of that. And I think that's the best thing about our company as well, that you, as a PC, when you have that patient coordinator assigned to you, they are hand-holding you. They are with you throughout your whole journey. They'll be speaking to you the day before surgery, the day afterwards, tell you what to expect, see the surgeon with you. And it's lovely to have that.
It's almost like a comfort blanket, isn't it?
Definitely.
The whole way through.
Yeah.
And I think the life-changing procedures for me are the ones that I personally... they're my favourites, the life-changing ones, because I think they're the ones, like, say if somebody, I don't know, they have a breast reduction because they've struggled with just huge breasts, throughout their teens. They've maybe been almost bullied or laughed at school, and then in their early 20s they finally do something about it and they literally feel like they have had a huge weight lifted.
Literally.
And they can walk better and their confidence just grows and grows. And I think those kind of cases for me, or even rhinoplasty, when you see patients where they've been so insecure about the size of their nose and then all of a sudden they don't mind people taking a picture of them.
And it's when patients wouldn't have pictures taken with their children. I remember one of our past patients, and she ended up working for us. She would never have pictures taken with her son because she hated that hook shape. And then in having the op done, it just completely changed her.
Exactly.
All for the better.
Exactly. And that's why we enjoy our jobs. We enjoy doing what we're doing because we know that we have amazing surgeons here. We have the most knowledgeable, creative surgeons doing a whole diversity of procedures. And it can be anything. It can be that you've had children and your tummy unfortunately doesn't look how it looked prior to having the children, and therefore tummy tucks, liposuction, breast uplifts, all of these things can be totally life-changing and give women a huge amount of confidence when they've actually really lost their confidence due to the things that they've gone through. So I do think it's really important that we move away from that stigma, that typical, blonde bimbo with massive boobs.
Anyone can have surgery. It's available for everyone. It could be your mum, your dad, your sister.
It can be anybody. Some people, like you say, when they've been flat-chested, throughout their life, and then suddenly they're 18, 19, and the first thing they want to do is come and have a boob job. They're like, oh, I need a boob job. You do get those girls like that. But then you also get people who are maybe 50 and they just think there's something with their body that they're not happy with. And they've suffered for years with it. And they finally think, do you know what? I'm going to do something about it. They don't have to tell everyone. They don't have to talk about it. They can just go do it. But they don't need to feel like they're too old or they shouldn't be doing it.
Doesn't allow them to do it.
Or they don't fit into the bracket of what a person who has cosmetic surgery looks like, because there is no one person. There's no type. There's no one type. There's a huge variation.
I think our oldest patient was like 80. And
I love things like that. I love stories like that.
So literally 18 to 80, we're catering for everyone. But I think as well, and the vision that we wanted to give everyone the education piece, telling everyone about cosmetic surgery and what it is that entails. The biggest difference between us to any other cosmetic surgery provider is the clinical side of it as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So it's marrying clinical with a friendly kind of helping hand all the way through. And I think that's kind of the unicorn, isn't it? That's hard to find, but we've made that happen.
The clinical
16 years
for me,
in the making.
The clinical for me is... that's the crucial part, because the clinical side is what's going to happen to you. That's the bit where you're going to get put on the table, you're going to get put to sleep,
and that's the
and you're going to be cut
biggest
open.
thing to
so you need to make sure.
Understand,
and this is where I want to educate people that is the most important part of the journey, and that you need to make sure you're in the right environment and you're not putting yourself in a dangerous environment.
You're not buying a car. You're buying surgery.
Exactly. I actually read something the other day about a young woman who'd gone to Turkey, and during her procedure, she needed a blood transfusion, but they didn't have the correct blood group available. So they did her a blood transfusion with the wrong blood group.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I just thought, like... how is things like this actually happening in the world? People are paying for this as well, which is more disturbing.
How would you even do that as a doctor?
There's so many. There's a girl who works for us at MYA, a young girl, and she had a friend who had been to Turkey. And
wait a minute. We've got another episode on this, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
So maybe let's leave that. This is a little spoiler, guys. We're going to have an episode all about that.
There's lots of horror stories, basically, is what I'm saying. And we will go into those horror stories as we develop with further shows and things. But I think it's important that we emphasise here that our clinical standards at MYA are fantastic. We have an outstanding CQC.
Exactly.
And we are the only cosmetic
And we are so proud of that.
Well, yeah. And we're the only cosmetic surgery provider in the UK to have that.
Woohoo!
So I'm very proud of that. I just want to let everyone know that, because that's something we all worked very hard for.
Yeah.
The fact we've achieved it is pretty impressive. So, yeah. Very good.
Let's give a bit of structure into the podcast and bits that we're going to do as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to do some little segments, which we'll do naturally in all of our episodes.
Yeah.
Pieces of that are going to be a day in the life of. So we're going to go into what we do day to day.
Yeah.
And then another bit that we're going to talk about is Dear Maya. So we will get onto those later. So guys, we'd like you all to please speak to our Instagram account. If you've got any questions for our later episodes, please just let us know anything you want us to ask and you want to find out more about. Just shoot those questions in and we will answer them in later episodes.
That will be fun, actually.
I'm so excited.
Dear Maya.
I feel like what's that, Oprah Winfrey?
I don't know about that. I was thinking more about that lady who used to do the problem phone in on This Morning, Denise.
Yes.
And it was like, you can call into Denise and she will tell you
that was a great time.
I mean, we might not have all the answers.
That shows maternity leave, doesn't it? This morning equals maternity leave.
Yeah.
And tipping point. That's a little shout out for them. But first, let's go into us and like what cosmetic surgery procedures we've had. So it's good because we can talk about our own experiences. And I am going to kick us off first because I recently had a reaugmentation. So we'll do it's hard because we do the technical names of it all, don't we? And it's trying to put it into language for everyone to understand too. So I had my first breast augmentation, or boob job as it's more widely known, July of 2012 I think it was. I had 525 cc's. So cc's equals the grams of the implant. Here's one I made earlier. So head to the socials, guys, to see the implants being played with. So 525 cc's equals the grams of the implant. And
they're actually like a stress relief.
They're so good.
They're like a stress ball, aren't they? You know, like
play
sometimes
with these
when
daily.
I'm in the office, we've got some on the windowsill.
Do you chuck them at Esther?
When she annoys me, sisterly love. When I'm getting stressed sometimes,
so
I
good.
find myself. I remember years ago, there used to be these little things in a shop called the Gadget Shop, and they used to have like a stress ball.
Did they?
And people used to buy them. I was about 15. I remember people at school had them, and these remind me of them.
Yeah, they're so like that. But it also goes to show
maybe we should
you can do anything to it.
Yeah, patients should take them and have a little
little play. That's the best bit when you go in for your consult and then you get to actually finally feel them, see what they're like. I see so many patients then taking pictures, putting it on their Instagram or their WhatsApp groups and going, oh my God, look at these boobs. Yeah. It's highly entertaining. Yeah, I have one of these bad boys inside me. I went from 525, so that equals the weight of the implant. So that weight doesn't mean that it's an ABCD. If I were to put it in, we'd have completely different breast sizes because it's all down to what we've got to start off with.
Yeah.
So I went from 525, and with my reaugmentation, I've now gone down to 375. So in that time period, what we talking, 11 years, I've had 2 children. I've enjoyed them massively. I've breastfed. So that's another myth dispelled, isn't it? You can definitely still breastfeed if you have implants.
Ask that question as well, don't they?
Yes.
A lot of people say, oh, well, I won't be able to breastfeed. And I'm like, no, you will be able to breastfeed. You can
1,000,000%.
And I don't know why people seem to think that, because your breast, your breast tissue is still there. Yeah. Your breast is still functioning as breast. You just have an implant.
Are still there.
Exactly. You just have an implant either in front or behind the muscle.
Yep. And then you enjoy them.
Yeah.
They make the babies.
But they help.
So had 2 children, and I was just thinking that they weren't necessarily like low, but they were now getting a bit too big for me. I went for the
saggy, sort of heavy.
Yeah, and I wanted smaller, lifted, and just to enjoy them again. And I've done exactly that.
I think, well, for me anyway, the most lovely surgery I ever had after having children was having my breast lifted.
Yeah.
Because I do think as women, we put our bodies through an awful lot when we have children.
Oh, yeah.
And having a breast augmentation after children can be very different to having one pre-children.
Yeah.
It's so nice, isn't it? Sometimes to put something on and not have to wear a bra.
They're just there.
They're just there. Yeah. You can literally wear like a backless dress. You can wear, a swimsuit with no supporting.
Yes.
Just,
those plunge ones.
And they just look.
You get the shape.
Yeah. And they look great. But I also do like, with my uplift, I don't know what yours is like, but when I had my uplift, I still have what I call a bit of a drop to my breast.
Yeah.
Because I've had my uplift 8 years ago now.
A nice natural shape.
Yeah. So my uplift is probably slightly lower than when I first had it.
Yeah.
But in some ways I like that because it doesn't necessarily scream out, oh, boob job.
Yeah. And the thing is, cosmetic surgery is so subjective, and you need to be on the same wavelength as your surgeon. So it is good to definitely bring in pictures, because I could say to you, I want a natural look.
Yeah.
But that could mean that I want them to look like Marina here.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that that is necessarily like completely really, really natural.
Yeah.
Because you've got a little bit of roundness there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, it's talking to the surgeon and getting on the same page.
Yeah. And all the different profile.
Yes.
Just looking at some of these here, how high they can be and then how much sort of flatter they can be.
Yeah.
It just varies. And they have that knowledge to guide you, to tell you what you need. And what's important is building up that relationship with your surgeon. And sometimes you can go in and you don't always hit it off with a surgeon. You can go in sometimes and be like, oh, do you know what? He wasn't for me.
Like
and that's fine.
Meeting
because
a friend,
especially when you're at MYA, what is beautiful about us here is we do actually care for people's feelings. So if somebody comes to our patient coordinator and says, you know what, I didn't really get on with that surgeon, I didn't feel he was for me, we'll put them in front of another surgeon and we'll find them the right one that suits them, for their journey.
Yep.
And we'll make sure they're supported along the way.
Yeah, no, and that's the best thing. So I had Dr. Margie. So I actually came up north because I'd worked with him so closely, bearing in mind I'm in Bristol. I had my operation at the First Trust Hospital.
Yeah.
Came up to Manchester to see him. It's quite handy that I have this job. little bit of travel. And yeah, it went perfectly. It was great on the day of surgery. And another episode that we'll go through about whole patient journey for the patient, how everything happens. So stay tuned for that one as well, because that will really give you a great insight as to how this process really does happen.
And we're going to do some hospital visits, aren't we? So we're going to actually show you guys what goes on when you get into the hospital. You know, even you walk down to theatre, what is involved, you know.
And it'll just make it less scary, because as a patient, the biggest thing that makes that fear is the not knowing. You don't know what to expect. And even me working here, even though I knew what to expect, I was still like, oh my God, I'm having my boobs done today. But there's always someone there. And I always had my patient coordinator with me, Alison. She was with me throughout, just confirming everything with me. And that's even me.
No matter how relaxed and how knowledgeable you are on cosmetic surgery, there's always going to be a little bit of anxiety.
Definitely.
Because
you're going to sleep.
And on your update. And that's natural. But that's why you have to be with a safe provider.
Definitely.
Because that anxiety will kick in. It's inevitable. And if you are in an environment where there's a possibility that you're not going to receive... I know the language barrier abroad as well, when people go there.
Don't know what they're signing.
Yeah, they need sometimes an interpreter, all these kind of things. It's actually mind-blowing that people are doing it. And I don't think they realise how bad it is. I think they're going into it without realising. And I think that's why it's important that we do this, to make people realise, you know, it's not just about us here saying, oh yeah, we're great at MYA, you know, come and have surgery at MYA. It's not really about just us saying that. You know, we obviously do think we're the best provider. But it's about making people aware that you have to
value yourself,
incredibly careful, and you have to value yourself and your life.
And that's what it comes down to.
And not just think about that, you know, how much it's going to cost. And the thing is, you know, everything now is affordable. I mean, if you can't afford the UK prices, you can finance things to make them affordable. And that is a way of making sure that you do go with a good provider. So yes, it's a more expensive procedure. Yes, it's not what you want to pay. But if you finance it, pay it off over time, and then you will
you'll get the care that you need,
that you're going to have the care. And that if anything happens afterwards, you know, God forbid, but if you had a hematoma, seroma, anything like that after your procedure, you wouldn't want to be on an aeroplane on your way back to the UK and go through that. You wouldn't.
No, exactly. And a hematoma, seroma, guys, if you don't know, so a hematoma is a buildup of blood around the breast. And that's another reason why our surgeons get you to have drains post-surgery, so then they can see if there is any buildup of that. And a seroma is a buildup of fluid. And that's the greatest kind of thing about us. Your nursing team is there 24/7.
We have a 24-hour helpline as well. You know, for me, I think that's a great thing, because sometimes you can even just go home after surgery and you can just be a bit panicky. Because you've suddenly got something in your body that you didn't have a few days ago, and you're looking and it's a bit swollen. And,
is that
you
right?
know, it's hurting maybe a bit more than you thought it would, or something's not quite as you expected. And you can just pick up that phone in the middle of the night. And somebody will be there to talk you through and go, actually, that's perfectly normal. Don't worry. Have a paracetamol. Go back to sleep.
Try and go back to sleep.
Well, try with all your pillows.
Whilst you,
Go back to sleep and, you know, come in and see us tomorrow and we'll have a look at you. And that is what you need. That's the level of care you want to have available to you. That's what you want to have. You don't want to find yourself in a bad situation and no one picking up the phone and, you know, unable to go back to where you originally started.
No, 100%.
The journey, which is the awful thing when people say go to Turkey, they come home and then if there's a problem, what are they going to do? Jump back on a flight to Turkey when their breast is leaking or they've developed an infection, they're on antibiotics, they feel horrendous. They're not really going to want to get on a plane back to Turkey to try and resolve it with the surgeon.
And talking about that, so another procedure that I've had is liposuction. So it's full, like pretty much like full body, all of your abdominal area, abdomen, flanks, and around the back.
Yeah.
A lot of these places, when they are going abroad, they're having that liposuction. I cannot explain the post-surgery kind of like feelings, the pain. I definitely say that the liposuction does hurt more than the breasts.
Oh, really? I've never had lipo. I mean, sometimes I feel like I could do with a lot of it post-Christmas. I think
see you in January, guys.
January is the time when I think, yeah, let's bring out the liposurgeon.
But it's so good. And the confidence that liposuction gave me to be able to wear dresses without having to wear Spanx, and even like post babies, it stayed, and it's so amazing. Like, I absolutely love my results. It gave contouring, shaping, gave me like that Kim Kardashian bum kind of thing.
Yeah, like you say, the contouring isn't it?
And the shaping.
With the Vaser, which is really good, the Vaser lipo.
Yeah, that's what I had.
And then obviously it kills the fat cell as well, so the fat can't come back. I know.
The surgeons are literally like gods.
I think I might book myself in.
I'm thinking I might have some more next year.
We'll go together.
Yeah.
We'll do a podcast while we're there.
Oh my God, we can have a shared room.
That would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important to always go as well and see your facilities.
Yeah. And have
see
those
what you're using. Exactly. Because you need to know that people are checking these things.
Yeah.
And that's why I think at MYA we are slightly different, because we do make sure that things like that happen. We do go and we have strong relationships with our providers of these kind of facilities, the hospitals and things. And it is massively important.
Yeah. And it was good when I had my up in First Trust as well, doing a little inspection whilst I was up there too. I was like, yes, this looks fabulous. I like my room. Let's continue.
Did you check everything was clean?
I did. And meeting the anaesthetist and everything. Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah. I always think that, if you go somewhere, say you did go abroad and you weren't happy with something, and then the nurse, say, comes in, how are you going to kind of say, I'm not happy with this. This isn't right. This is dirty. This is, how do you have those conversations? But we, at MYA, we try to make sure that everything is exactly how it
you
should
want it to be to start off with. We're putting those things in place that it's proactive first. We're going down to see the hospitals.
We're checking
we meet
everything.
With our surgeons regularly.
Exactly.
They come to our Bristol, London clinics, and then up north as well.
And we also have at MYA, which I do think is really important, we have a contact centre.
Yeah.
And I think this is so important because a lot of providers, or even if you just go to, say, a surgeon who is a one-man band, who's on his own, he's just got one secretary, getting hold of people can be really hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a surgeon and you've got countless operations to get through and loads of clinics and a busy schedule. It is really, really hectic. So having a contact centre for me is really important, because it's just like a patient can ring up. It can be anything. It could be, I need to change an appointment. I just need to get hold of somebody, or actually this has happened, that's happened. It's a point of contact at all times.
Yeah.
And that's really important. It's a bit like, when you order something online and then you want to return it, or something's not right with it, and you just want to speak to somebody, but you can't speak to anybody. Because it's just like, oh, send something into this email, and you can never actually speak.
There's not that personal touch.
There's not the personal touch. And that's what we do at MYA. We give people the personal touch. There is somebody at the other end of the phone. You can get to speak to somebody. We make sure that happens. You're not on your own. And I think that is massively important, that when you are making these decisions, you have that support network
1,000,000%
with whoever you choose to go with.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need that along the way.
So let's go into Dear MYA, because we've had a couple of DMs come through as well. So I wanted to touch upon these because they're quite applicable to this first podcast as well. So first one that we've had, one of our patients, how long can it take after your first consultation to the actual surgery?
Well, it can be anything from 2 weeks to however many months you want it to be. Obviously, for legal reasons, you have to have a 2-week cooling off period once you've seen the surgeon, just to make sure that you're happy with what he said, you've digested the information he's given you, and you're fully aware of what you're going into and what's going to happen, and you've got a full understanding. So the quickest turnaround would be 2 weeks.
The timeline that we'd like to go with is kind of like your 2 to 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
It gives you time.
Ideally for me, I would say 8 to 12 weeks, like you say. But some people, you'll come and have a consultation, and it could be that they say, right, I want the procedure. I want to book it for Easter next year because I know I've got X amount of time off work, and that's when I'm going to have it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it can vary. But yeah, the shortest turnaround, like if you wanted it super quick, would be that kind of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then, it can be as long as you want it to be after that.
And the thing is, we have all of our surgeons' diaries, don't we? They're pretty much set up for like the next 6 months or so. Some of them give us for like the whole year. But it's really good that then you can see the surgeon. You could be having your op, I'd say like within a month to 2 months is like the nicest way to be doing it. And then we're getting all of your medicals in, etc., which we'll talk about more in another episode too.
Yeah.
So let's go into another question. A patient has asked, should I have a boob lift, boob job, or both? I've had 2 children and looking to proceed with surgery.
Well, I would say to that person, it depends how those 2 children have affected her body.
Yeah.
The quality of skin. Do you have saggy breasts? And if you have saggy breasts, you're going to need an uplift.
Yeah.
If you've got a lot of breast tissue, it could be that you've got a really good size. You've already a D, double D. Maybe you've got a full breast, but it's just droopy, low, not where you want it to be.
Yeah.
You can just have an uplift, keep your own breast tissue all nice, and just lift it.
Yeah.
Obviously, what you do find when you have children is this emptiness at the top, which a lot of women talk about. The, like ski slope type breasts, where it's just like it drops down, the nipple's very low. And a lot of women do choose to have an implant with an uplift at that stage. So then you're getting that
fullness, you're getting that shape. We want to kind of have like that fullness and that shape to the breast there because it looks great, side profile.
Yeah.
And an uplift on its own can give that if you've got that breast tissue there.
Yeah.
Or it could be that we go with the full implants.
Yeah.
And do it together like we've both done.
Exactly.
And then you're getting kind of 2 for the price of 1-ish. You're getting the full shebang.
And I think one of our surgeons, they will always give the honest advice.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might not be what you want to hear. Some women go and they think, oh, I'm just going to get an implant and it's all going to look fine. It's not always as easy as that. No. You can't just shove an implant in anything and you get a perfect breast.
You're going to then have bigger, saggier breasts, and that's not what we want to happen.
Sometimes you have to adjust the nipple, have a lift, whatever's required. So it
and
just
the scarring
varies.
is so tiny.
I know.
Like mine, it just looks like a teeny tiny little pencil line.
And it gets better and better with time.
Yeah.
So you just have to enjoy the process of having that feeling of everything been what I call lighter and higher.
Yes.
And don't worry so much. People get very worried about scarring. I hear so many people going, I don't want scars. I don't want the anchor scar. I don't want this. You're hardly even going to see it, and how many people, other than maybe, your husband, your partner, how many people are actually going to see your breast in total light,
full entity,
where you can fully see everything. It's not very likely, is it?
No. And I think that's something that's really good to talk about. We'll talk about it more in our other episodes as well.
Yeah.
But when you've been listening today, guys, if you did want to hear any more about us, if you wanted to inquire with us, everything's going to be in the show notes. Click on the link on there, and then you can talk to our patient bookings team. You can talk to a patient coordinator, and we can see how we can help you from there.
Until next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks everyone for listening. Please hit the like and subscribe button.
And please follow us on all of our cosmetic surgery social media channels.
At MYA Cosmetic Surgery. You'll find us on TikTok at MYA Cosmetic Surgery. Share this episode with a friend and anyone that you think will love it.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.